You look like a DJ mixer.
I am, dude. I'm a DJ mixer. All right. Well, welcome back to the Bad Lines podcast. I'm sitting here with my two good buddies. We got Michael Lycos of the Fab Lab, Scott DeCurtis.
What's going on?
He's got that gorgeous Prerunner.
Yeah.
And so we got a little trip coming up here in a couple days. Next Friday, we're actually we're going to be ripping the Rubicon rock crawler stuff, which is kind of the way we're seemingly going.
Yeah.
This guy, he's got his Explorer that he's building.
Yeah, I got a older Explorer that I got basically for free, and we're gonna solid axle swap it and see how that goes.
1 tons
With Super Duty axles, yeah.
40s.
Man, I got to jump on the bandwagon. I'm going to be left behind.
Yeah.
I need to get.
We got to solid axle swap the Prerunner.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and so us three are what we wanted to talk about today is the DMC, which is or was or still is, I suppose, our group that we did a ton of point-to-point trips, and we just kind of wanted to chat a little bit about how we all met, which was how did we all meet?
Met on the internet.
Met on the internet.
Met on a forum called Desert Rangers.
Not
No.
OnlyFans?
It was a dating site for men called Desert Rangers.
Yeah, basically.
But yeah, so we met on, all of us met on Desert Rangers. We figured out that we were all pretty nearby, and we started going out to desert races. I guess was kind of the first.
Yeah, or the cleanup.
The cleanup, yeah.
Yeah.
And then we did a Mojave road trip. That was kind of, I don't know if that was really organized on the forum. I think you guys, like you had known Scott.
Well, no, actually,
No.
I literally met you guys like 2 weeks beforehand because Mikey was helping me out with something.
Who set that
And-
trip up? It's tough to
Yeah,
recall.
I
But
I was total last minute.
the trip was already set up, and I invited Scott to go, and I ended up riding with Scott
Oh, you rode with Scott on that
the
trip?
whole trip.
No shit.
Yeah,
I thought you and Max set that trip up.
it might have been.
Or maybe.
It-
I don't know.
that makes sense
Anyways.
actually.
But-
But yeah, it wasn't on the forum. It was
No.
kind of like a friends, kind of like Thousand Oaks, Simi Valley group of friends
Sure.
that kind of did it. Yeah.
But yeah, so we did that, and that was, wasn't it? Was that, I had the Rover then, the white Rover.
You had the Rover. You had Johnny on the what is that? The
Goodness.
Honda
The Honda 100 or
100.
whatever.
Yeah, steel gas tank.
Dude.
Iron Man that thing.
Man.
Yeah. And then, was that the one with Metro and
Yeah.
a Super Duty?
Yeah, which is
Which is
Stevie Boy
Wally's
owns
truck,
now. Yeah.
We're gonna have to pop some photos up of this.
Yeah, for sure. And then so anyways, we did that when we were still involved with the desert racing. Like I was co-driving with Metro and pitting for the GFO guys. And we kind of just I think kind of had like continued the friendship and on the forum.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
there was a DR trip that we did that was Barstow to Giant Rock.
Yeah, which is in Landers.
Yeah. And then so that was like Brandon Miller, was it Smithy?
Yeah,
Smithy?
I think he he did the Mojave road trip with us, I think.
No, it was that trip.
No,
He had
I
the
think he did
that little white Ranger that he had.
It's very possible.
Didn't you you had just sold the racetrack, the Ranger racetrack
I-
too to I forget
Timor?
his name.
Timor.
Yeah,
Timor.
Taylor.
I think he did
Yeah.
it. He followed us.
No, but he followed us, but I think he was overheating.
Yeah, he had troubles on the way back, but I think or something.
But so, and then we, like Eddie was on that trip, and Camberg Carlos.
Yep.
And so that was kind of like the first trip we did. And so then we were like, hey, this is fun. Let's do more of these point-to-point style trips. And we started kind of organizing them a little bit on the forum, and we kind of started to like form our core group. And we're like, oh, we need a name. Like, what are we going to call it? And we came up with the DMC.
Yeah, another 3-syllable acronym.
Sure.
Seems to be what we do. So.
No, we're 4 now. We're 4.
Okay, 4.
Yeah, 4 now.
Yeah.
4 now.
All right, we stepped it up. We added a letter.
15 years later, we added another letter.
Yeah. So and you're wondering what the DMC stands for, and there's many many things, and it's kind of evolved, but it was Dirt Miles Crew, and it was the slogan was like all about dirt miles.
Yeah.
All about the dirt miles.
And so and it was like we just kind of started out and we're like, we made some t-shirts, and I don't know, it was like a wish.com
Totally out of the blue,
Yeah.
like last minute
No,
every trip. Like
I think you're wrong. Wasn't it Nikki's dad? Wasn't she the one like doing all our merch for a hot minute?
well,
there?
no. So it kind of evolved.
That's how we got the koozies.
Well, yeah, it evolved a little bit because we had, I think, we made like this guy made the first shirts, and it was like seriously pretty. I mean,
they were like bed sheets or something.
Yeah,
they were
yeah,
horrible.
yeah.
They were horrible.
And then we had Matt Sugar. He
did the first set of
he
legit
made the
ones.
the DMC logo.
That's cool.
And then the shirt with like the Joshua tree.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And so, and then I think I got dirtmiles.com, and I was like, I had started doing like the trip reports, and it was like a blog basically. And I was like, oh, this will be cool.
Forgot about that. That's right.
And all these, the trips were all posted on the forum. And so throughout, like this was like what, 2010-ish?
Yeah, I would say we all started doing this
or
around
take.
09, 2010.
Yeah.
And then it really started ramping up 11, 12, and, for years after that.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. And so Dirt Miles Crew, and now we're more like the Dad Miles Crew,
Yeah.
as we call us.
Definitely.
The three letter acronym just kind of evolved
Yeah.
over time. Like, yeah.
And then so like to segue real quick into mountain biking with our group, we had like the DMC MTB, which is like a group that had created in during COVID. And then we changed the DMC, stood for Do More Climbing or Don't Mind Climbing. I thought that was
That's right.
appropriate while you're just suffering.
Exactly. It
Now
works.
we've got e-bikers over here, so he doesn't do that.
Went to the dark side.
Yeah, definitely doing more climbing because he doesn't care.
Yeah, exactly. But so I think that the whole thing with it was like we had our kind of core group, and this is all in pre-runners, that basically the whole motto ended up becoming like, hey, let's plan as far as we can go. Like this guy Scott was the wizard on mapping it all out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this was right when like iPad GPSing, like tracking Google Earth.
Yeah,
this,
Google
this
Earth
was all
was an app.
evolving at the
Exactly.
same time,
Yeah.
and I think I mean, obviously, I probably wasn't even close to being one of the first people to do it, but I felt like it, right? I
Sure.
was like, this is really cool. Like, we can find points of interest and figure out places to go. And by the way, we're going to figure out how to do dirt the whole way there.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of thing. So it was really neat to see, to like have this all happen at the same time.
Absolutely. And it was like our group was, I don't know if we kind of like gathered this following because most of the pre-runner guys, they'd go to Glamis or they'd go to Barstow, and they would all just like see how far, how hard they could go through Barstow, Maine, or how hard they could rip down Sand Highway.
Yeah.
And we were like, no, we enjoy going fast through the whoops, but it's like, let's go see some cool shit.
For sure. It's almost like if you're from the mountain bike world, it's like you can go to a bike park and ride the same lap over and over and over again, and which is fun because you know every turn, you know every bump, every berm, every jump. But it's like what we were trying to do, going from point to point to point, was like almost like blind racing. You're not obviously racing anybody, but you're driving at a moderate speed where it was thrilling, potentially dangerous, but you weren't sure what was around the next corner or if there even was anything around the next corner. And that's what made it, I think, really enjoyable.
Sure. No, and like I remember Scott always leading. He's the lead pup, so he's encountering all this shit like firsthand, and he's calling.
Yeah, I'm the one calling out the jumps all the time. I'm like, I missed another one.
Yeah, and it would just be like, you're clear to send it or whatever, and it's just crazy to think about all the trips that we had amassed over. I mean, we haven't really done anything in the last few years.
Yeah.
Really?
I mean, there was a good like 3, 4, maybe 5 tailing off on the 5th year where it felt like we were in the desert almost every weekend, like trying to go on some adventure, right?
Oh yeah.
And I think there was a big peak there where it was like there was an evolution of the trips, right? It was we kept trying to go farther and farther or see more in a shorter period of time, or trying to, you're always trying to like up it and increase the thrill, right? So
For sure.
Absolutely. And so like Scott, you, as far as mapping it, like how would you would you pick points of interest, or like how would like now I feel like with the overland and social, like this is kind of pre-Instagram. Instagram was there, but it wasn't like
Pre-Onyx, all that stuff.
Yeah.
but so like how would you find the points of interest and then map the routes, and we'd have like, okay, Barstow to Landers, and then you'd kind of just like look on Google Earth type of thing, or
I mean, you're right. It's like a small little niche of before Instagram, before, obviously there were a lot of forums at that time. So a lot of kind of adventure forums at the time, right? So there's information out there, but it was like, what do you search? Where are you going, right? So Google Earth was evolving a lot at that time, and it was really cool because a lot of the search criteria or whatnot. Sorry, let me back up a little bit. First of all, somebody would jump in like you or Mikey and be like, let's do this point to this point, right?
Yeah.
But then it's like looking at Google Earth and seeing, okay, what's in between? And then you kind of, that's where Google Earth came in, and there would be like points of interest that people would pop into there and, things to see. And that would evolve into like searching, Googling or looking at adventure forums, like what's in this area and what's in that area. And then you kind of,
because
essentially you kind of, then, you do your point to point trail, but then there's another week of like, oh wait, this is over here and this is over here, and let's try and go here.
Yeah, because to add on what he was saying, I remember looking at setting up a trip, and it was like something stupid like Jawbone to Trona or the Pinnacles or whatever it was. And there's all these little sub areas that you're going through: Nightmare Gulch, Guller Gulch, Jawbone Canyon. And what's cool is if you Google those places, a lot of times they have their own little like cheesy little website that I don't remember if they were government run, but they would give you all these cool points of interest, and then you'd make little notes, points of interest, and then you try to find the GPS coordinates of those exact locations, so then you could kind of plan your trip that way too.
yeah.
And it was funny, there's a whole nother side to it too. It's like while you're making that track on Google Earth, you come across something, you're like, wait a minute, you zoom in, you zoom out, you're like, oh, what is that, right? And you're trying to figure, let's go check it out.
Yeah.
Can't quite tell. Hey,
Yeah.
it looks like it could be something cool, right?
Exactly. You're like, is that a mountain of tires? I can't tell what it is. Let's go see what it is.
And it's like through that, you're obviously it's all like, we're not exploring like to the fact that it's never been touched before, but it's like it's kind of uncharted territory within the Prerunner space that we're operating
within us, our little group.
And so it's like now, where times have changed, it's like, okay, you see like a cool reel on Instagram or a YouTube video, and you're like, some people are all about the geotagging, like, go check this place out. And then other people are like, I'm not going to tell you where it is. And, for the seasoned Google Earthist, you're like, oh yeah, I can find that, no problem.
Give me 2 seconds here.
Yeah, and it's crazy how people like, I remember the social pool that was outside of
that blew up.
that was outside of like Hammers, right?
Yeah, it was right outside Johnson.
And it was like, I remember it came out, and it was something like you had to go to, was it like somewhere in downtown
to go to like an art museum or something, and
to get the coordinates, and then but there's, I remember I think it was like Kevin Pascal, I think, and I actually just met the dude out at KOH this year. I've like known this guy forever. He's buddies with like Alan Maddox and a couple dudes in Ventura. But anyways, I remember somebody posted up just the mountain range near Lucerne, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I know where that is," just based off of the mountains.
Oh
And
yeah,
it's like
100%.
it's just cool. Like some people just know the terrain, and it's like, yeah, you can spot that out.
Well, yeah, like think of some of the places that we've been
Sure.
to, 50 times, 100 times, like Barstow, Ridgecrest, Johnson Valley. It's like you watch a video of somebody's whatever, and you're like, oh, I know that mountain range, or oh, he's close to the sand dunes, or oh, it's over by the Hammers, or that's all way over by Camp Rock. You just kind of know because stuff starts to look familiar.
Exactly. And so I think like with kind of within like the DR pre-runner scene, like obviously most of the trips that were being done by the people like our kind of peers, it was all very close to where the racing was happening.
Yeah,
just because
for sure.
That's
that's what we knew.
So it was like, people would do base camp to like a Cal City, and then they would go and, drive around, and it would be like a big deal for them to go to Randsburg and go, get a ice cream or a beer at the bar or whatever. And then all of us were like, okay, well, if we're gonna start here, like, let's see how far we can push this.
For sure.
And that just kind of kept progressing, and it was like we would do. I think you already said we did like from 5 like Gorman area to Jawbone. We did a bunch of We've done the Mojave Road like a zillion times.
Oh yeah.
I mean that's
both ways.
There were different variations.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Both ways. There were variations. Oh, we'll go north this time. We'll go south this time. Well, check it because it's a vast area, that whole preserve.
Oh yeah.
So it was about evolving the trip, right?
Sure. Well, and then so like with that, the trucks began to get faster. Like Fiona, you started out with a 3.0 and then swapped in the 3.4. And then, I'm here on the struggle bus with the mouse trying to keep up with all these guys because this guy supercharges his truck. This guy with his Bronco, he's,
V8 life, those 8 cylinders.
V8, and then swapped in another motor and another motor.
And so, but we kind of like had this core group, and I don't know exactly how many, but roughly about 10 trucks or so?
10 or 12 guys.
Yeah.
And so it just kind of it was like this progression of like how far can we push it, and I think our like most mileage trip that we did was the Grand Canyon.
Yeah, so I think doing all those like smaller trips, leading into the Grand, doing all those smaller trips, kind of gave us a good gauge of where our trucks were at.
Yeah.
And like the mileage we could accomplish in a day.
And what
right?
we can do in a day. Not just the trucks, but like everybody in there. Because, we all had wives or girlfriends at the time, and so they all came with us too. And it's like, all right, how long can you sit in the seat for? And some of those days are long.
Yeah, for sure. Like, and I remember like one Death Valley trip, I don't know if that was the trip that everybody got stuck on where Metro ran over my air filter. But we had,
I forgot about that trip.
We went through,
Ballarat, Panamint Valley, Panamint.
But then did we do Steel Pass?
We did do, not that trip. That was a different trip.
It was a different trip, but I remember one Death Valley trip we did, and it was like a super long day. Everybody's like just pissy on the radio, like basically where's camp, and it's just, you get to a certain point where it's like, obviously you want to push the limits, but then it kind of, you don't want it to be unfun as well. But the Grand Canyon trip, as we mentioned, it was from Ludlow all the way off the 40, and
which is outside Barstow.
Yeah. And then we hopped on Mojave Road for a bit, and then ended up all the way.
No, we did most of Mojave Road.
So
into Arizona.
Yeah. So after figuring we couldn't do more than like 125 miles a day, it was about mapping that out, right? So it was like Ludlow to Laughlin via kind of, we like jogged up north to hit Mojave Trail and then took kind of halfway Mojave Trail, right? So we did Laughlin, and then the quick overview, and then it was Laughlin to, I think it was the Grand Canyon.
Yeah,
that was
the south. It was the South Rim,
And then the next day it was like the South Rim to Hoover Dam.
Yeah, well, yeah, we hit Hoover Dam, and then we ended up in Prim at 2 in the morning.
Yeah, and then it was like Prim home.
But and then there's like obviously you can map it out on Google Maps, and it's it's all great when it's on your computer and on GPS. Sure. But then you're actually living it in real life, and you need to factor in, okay, where's fuel stops. We need to make sure we, can re-up on food or supplies. I mean, what was cool is our group became, very self-sufficient as far as we're all like self-contained with, from cooking to trail tools. All the trucks are fairly quick. I mean, I don't really think in our main group.
There was years of culmination of a lot of different things that some people don't think about, right?
Sure.
Just supplies, repair parts, food, cooking supplies, like who was responsible for what. And we kind of all shared that load, right?
Mm-hmm. So for sure. There's definitely some people that were better at it than others.
Yeah.
I'll tell you now, I was never a great cook.
Yes,
I'm heating up hot dogs.
Yeah, my ties with Lunchables.
He's eating frozen Lunchables out of his cooler.
And Uncrustables, and we've got the camp
crackers.
Yeah. So that was like when I had gotten the camp chef, I think pretty early on in this whole thing. So we would do like these big breakfasts, and everybody would pitch in. We'd have like bacon and eggs each morning, and
it was a good way to start the day.
Yeah. Sure. But so, and then we kind of, it was like, I don't want to say it was like an exclusive group as far as like we weren't welcoming or there's like no ego about it.
No, and we did many like, public trips. We'd post them on the forum back then, and we're going to do this trip. And it's not that people didn't fit our group. It's just that it gets to a point where there's 8 to 10 trucks is kind of the max on what you really want out there if you're trying to actually put miles down in a day, because you don't think about it, but a couple, medium-sized breakages and that eats up the day, or a big group of 20 stop and people start, kind of talking and everything. And before you know it, that we've been sitting here for 45 minutes to an hour, like we're burning daylight.
Yeah, somebody stops to pee, and then, a beer gets cracked, and you start laughing about the jump that you oversent or whatever. And it's like, I think about that one Mojave road trip. I don't even know if you were on that one, the one that I had to carry Randy's dirt bike.
Yeah, I was on that one.
Okay.
When he lost his, what was his shifter peg?
Just fun fact, you can use the brake pedal, the rear brake pedal, you can put it on the shifter side. We learned that later.
So and that was that right before the whoop section?
No, it was after.
It was after.
That was right before you go up into mid hills.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that was fun. He loses the shifter.
We spent like an hour going up and down the road.
It was on the pavement though. Like, so we spent an hour going up and down the pavement, and Randy and I don't remember who else, but I think you were riding in the bed of Scott's truck, like just looking, trying to find the shifter. And anyways, I ended up loading we went to camp, and then we like shifted a bunch of stuff around in the Mouse, and I threw his dirt bike in the back of the Mouse. And that what we were just talking about.
Sent it the whole next day with the dirt bike.
And it was like, this guy's calling out jumps, and I'm like, fuck it, we're just gonna send it with a dirt bike. Like,
the dirt bike has its own suspension in the back of the truck, right? You're good to go.
But so that was it was pretty cool. And back to the Grand Canyon trip. So we ended up that was like 500 miles off road roughly.
I think it was a little more, but. Yeah,
and it's like so
in basically 4 days.
Yeah, with 10 trucks.
3 days, 3.5. It was
maybe 5 days total. Maybe the first day was a try. I can't remember. But it was a lot of miles every day, pushing the limits for sure. Kind of what the truck's capabilities were, and it was funny because we woke up the second day in Laughlin, right? And if you were some random person looking out your window in the tower to the hotel, I think we stayed at like Harrah's or something, right, on the river, and just you would have seen like 10 trucks in the parking lot with their complete trucks just torn to shit because we were all still doing prep for the next 3 days.
Yeah, but if you don't remember, everybody was like low key trying to hide all their problems.
Yeah.
You're just like walking around, you're just like zip tying stuff, and you're just like, no, everything's good. Yeah, well, I'm I'm ready to go whenever
Let's
you
see,
are.
What do we have? We had like a rear leaf spring bushings that needed to be done.
No. Back up. So Ludlow, this guy, we take off. We're 10 miles into these shitty sand dunes.
I tried to skip that part.
This dude gets a coolant leak, and we're
like 5 miles into the
5
trip,
miles
maybe.
into camp, and so and that was something cool, and I think we've talked about it like when podcast Wally and I did on the What to Pack, just the stuff that's in the truck. So it's like we have things that all of us have like in our tools that you know to have, or hey, maybe this will be good in, maybe I might not need it, but maybe somebody else will. So this guy blows a coolant hose. And I'm like looking through my Pelican case, and I was like, "Oh, dude, I got this hose," and we threw that on, and it made it. You probably ran it for a few years.
It was like my bypass, my heater core bypass or whatever, back when I had the 3.0 and the Fiona.
But so that was the start of it, and then I'll let you continue.
Yeah, no.
So
we
parking lot.
So it was like everybody was in the Laughlin parking lot.
Oh,
yeah. We had rear leaf spring shackle bushings. We had like Jesse welding cam alignment
with
tools
batteries,
with batteries
and battery jumper cables
and welding rod or
and
whatever.
4 pairs of sunglasses.
I think I was trying to get the actual hose size for the leak I had.
My hood wasn't even attached to the truck anymore, but I didn't. I just put a little ratchet strap on there. No one ever even knew.
Fellas, it's good.
Well, everybody was doing something.
And then I think back to like, okay, I think that trip was that in 14?
I can't remember.
But I think back to, I want to say
10 years ago.
We did it. It was a Desert Rangers trip that we did in Ocotillo Wells that Wally or Flaunt was following that 12 car. We tried to do from Ocotillo Wells to Superstition.
Oh my God.
And it was like the typical night run, 10 p.m. We leave to go to Superstition, which is like 15 miles or so. Flaunt's following a 12 car like buggy. And the 12 car goes through this rut, and Flaunt just does it. We give him shit because he likes to drive into Grand Canyons, basically. And so he follows the 12 car and just drops off this huge ravine.
It was like a rain rut.
Yeah, rain rut.
Yeah.
And he breaks his tie rod. And so Wally he's like, yeah, I saw it on the internet that, you can weld with batteries. And so we try to have we thought we only needed 2 batteries.
That's right.
And so we're
3 batteries.
We're like turning that welding electrode into it's just like a red hot little
it wasn't enough.
Turned into a candy cane, just kind of sagged over.
But it's like the progression of the fails, whatever, shit breaks, and then you're like, okay, that's a good idea to have that. And so then we learned, okay, you got to have 3 batteries. But so Jesse's welding his alignment cams.
Yeah, because we learned that we needed 3 batteries, we were able to do it, right? It worked out.
But so, and then what else? I think, just the air filter stuff. And I don't think we had any other fails on that trip as far as...
No, it was just...
No, it was pretty smooth after
and everything,
Harris.
And all that really was somewhat minor. Like, it wasn't even that big of a deal. We probably could have kept going, but it was just like everyone, I think, we were kind of like, at that point, we had done Mojave Trail, right? And I think at that point, it was like, we're going into the unknown. Right?
For sure.
It's every trail from now on out, like, we have no clue. So I think it was just that, like, culmination of, like, everybody wanted to make sure they were good to go. Right?
Sure.
So,
and to kind of reiterate on that a little bit, that same day, I remember getting to the South Rim, to our camp spot, like, way later than I think we all anticipated. Yeah. And it's because, Scott's mapping all this stuff out on Google Maps or Google Earth. You can't see cattle guards or, fences for ranches, and, it doesn't show there. But when you pull up to a fence and you're like, oh crap, we got to backtrack now. I remember that there's that left we could have took, 5 miles back. It's like just a couple of those too. That'll totally screw up your day as far as like trying to see points of interest or getting to a campsite on time. So you kind of have to be flexible sometimes. I mean, that worked out great. Sure. I'm so glad we pushed on. I was so frustrated at the end of that night. I was just like, man, let's just get somewhere. I don't care where we camp. And then we woke up the next morning on that mesa, and I was like, oh, dude, I'm so glad we pushed.
I remember everyone on the radio and leading. Man, it was getting like 9, 10 o'clock at night, and everyone was beat, including myself. And I'm just like, guys, just 2 more miles, and it'll be worth it. And it was worth it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
It was one of those things you wake up and you're in beautiful, Arizona where everything's red and it's just amazing. It was absolutely amazing.
And then so like a live and learn situation. So we map it out. Scott does a great job, but we map it to the South Rim. And so the South Rim of the Grand Canyon, at least where we went to scope it out, is where it's like super commercialized.
It's a tourist trap.
Well, it's a Indian reservation, right?
But that's like where the skywalk, all that is. And so we had a bunch of us had dogs with us, and it was, I want to say it was like $50 or $30 a person to, you have to literally take a tour bus. You have to like park your car, get in a bus to like go see the Grand Canyon.
But I think at that time I was like, screw this, I'm not paying $40 for it.
Yeah.
At the age I was at. And then, but 2, it was like, do we have time to do that? Yeah. Right? Because we still had to lay down a lot of miles.
Yeah.
Sure.
That's what it was. I think the plan would have been wake up, look at the Grand Canyon, get in your car and go.
Sure.
Because we had miles to do that day. And that day ended up being another super long day.
Dude.
Yeah. The longest day.
So I remember we got back on the highway, headed towards Hoover Dam, and everyone was on freaking E.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
Pegged.
Vapors.
And and we're all rolling down the hill. Like,
people
I'm just
are
like,
shutting their vehicle off. Yeah.
Good times. And so
that was a good day though. So we left the South Rim. We had lunch on Lake Mead.
Oh, the 4x4 recommended.
And then we did, which was an awesome little wash down into lunch on the lake. I think you went for a swim, or didn't you?
Yeah, I jumped in. That was the coolest trail of that trip by far.
And then from there we like. It was like, okay, by that time it was noon and we were like, had miles, right? We keep saying we had miles. Well, we actually did that day. And I remember we had like a good hour session of all 8 or 10, or I can't remember how many trucks we had, where it was like the communication on the radio, calling out the rain ruts, like calling out the just like, everyone was in sync.
Yeah, it was like a musical harmony.
Like a flow state.
It was such an awesome
such
an awesome session for like an hour on this trail trying to get to the road, to get to the Grand Canyon, or get to the Hoover Dam. And that was a cool day.
And then what? We scope out Hoover Dam,
which is amazing.
Yeah, we spent like an hour there trying to check it out.
So cool.
Super cool.
Drive on. It's just so impressive.
And there was fuel right there. And then I remember, we'll have to see if anybody has it. I think Natasha took the photo, but it was like all the trucks going up this like sketchy fire road.
Right at dusk. Yeah.
And anyways, that trail from Hoover Dam, and it was like, wasn't it the same exit or like one exit past where the gas station was?
Yeah.
We climb up, and it was a full rock crawling adventure.
Boulders.
Like this shelf road. And we're in like your Bronco. You guys were both 4-wheel drive at that time. Was Fiona still 4-wheel drive?
I think she was still 4-wheel drive.
But I'm in the Mouse, fucking 2-wheel drive with a locker, and just like, and it's dark. Everybody's got their lights on, and you're like literally cruising, 5 miles an hour over some of that. But we end up making it to. You could see the lights for Prim, and then I remember Jesse in the Explorer got a flat,
changed that,
and then we pull into Prim, hit the tree bar, and
at that time it was like 9, 10 o'clock. We pulled into the tree bar, just beat, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Jeez, man. I think we did like upwards of 150 miles that day or something. It was,
and on a non-race weekend, the tree bar is kind of sad.
Yeah,
so you're like, you show up, you get a beer, you're like,
it wasn't the same.
I'm going to bed.
It wasn't the same.
Oh man.
And then from there we still took dirt. We crossed over.
I think some people like woke up early. It was Sunday at that point, I think. So some people woke up early and took highway home. But I think there was like 3 or 4 of us that kind of did Prim to Barstow and dirt, the typical trail that a lot of people know of. Yeah,
sure. But yeah, so that was. So would you say that's like your favorite trip?
Oh, by far.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that was the one that just like culminated years of us,
Yes.
of the progression of all of us, and kind of like putting it together and just making it happen. It's like that was a lifetime trip.
For sure.
Like we will be talking about that to our kids forever.
Oh yeah,
you know?
no, totally.
That was our masterpiece, I would say.
Yeah, and like I guess there's been many epic trips.
Oh yeah.
I would say I think my like personal favorite was the Nevada Ghost Springs 500 trip.
Yep.
And which is kind of interesting because it was in my Tacoma, basically like full overland mobile. But that, like all the roads in Nevada, it's just so, you're in the middle of nowhere.
Different.
Northern.
So
Nevada.
different.
And everything is like relatively smooth in comparison to like a lot of the stuff here in Southern California.
Yeah.
And so it was just the, we're hitting all these hot springs, and it just it seemed like even more uncharted territory. But as far as like the pre-runner trips go with our DMC like core group, that the Grand Canyon for sure was way up there. But then, so what about, what do you think in like the decade of doing all these trips, what do you think the top trail fixes that we endured were?
Well, I don't know if you'd call this a trail fix, but to keep talking about the Grand Canyon trip, I left on that Grand Canyon trip knowing that the motor in my Bronco was like
running on 7 cylinders.
It was fouling a spark plug every day. So I'm putting gear oil and Bardolls, no smoke, like this basically looks like honey. You're putting that into the motor, just trying to keep oil in it and not coming out the combustion chamber, out the tailpipe. And it made it. It made it that whole trip. So I was super thankful for that. The motor died like right after that. I don't think it even made it on the next trip. But
how many motors have you gone through before, like now?
Before ALS swapped it?
Yeah.
I did. I think I had 5 Ford motors before. Before I was like, you know what? I'm done with the Ford motors.
How many transmissions?
In total,
Yeah.
probably 5 at that point.
Dude.
Yeah.
Is that like a Ford problem? Like they circled the problem, or you think that?
No,
or was that a driver error? Or
I never blew up any transmissions with the Ford motors. It was the more horsepower from the Chevy motors that was taking out the
that makes
transmissions.
sense.
Got it.
But the Bronco is really good at braking, so I got pretty good at trail fixes.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean,
I can't even.
if we're going to talk about the Bronco real quick, I think one of the most memorable situations was the Mojave Road where you broke down in Barstow, and Travis Dent flat towed you down the 40 at night, all with a tow strap.
Yeah, in his
all the way to
military
Laughlin.
Blazer that had the old crappy non-turbo diesel, and we were going 45 miles an hour down the 40 at 2 o'clock.
And didn't you have like a case of Red Bull, and you're just slamming Red Bull trying to stay awake?
I was, and I'm swerving all over the road. I'm just like, just don't fall asleep. Because if you can't fall asleep when someone's towing you, they're 10 feet, 15 feet in front of you, You have to be paying attention what's happening.
Oh my God.
But so I remember you get into camp, and it was like
The sun's coming
It
up.
was literally like 5-6 o'clock in the morning. And I'm pretty sure you didn't sleep at all.
I'm pretty sure you cracked some beers and you were like,
No, I tried to get like 2 hours of sleep or whatever it was. Miserable. It's so hot. I can't remember when that trip was. It's too hot. We shouldn't have. We should have went later.
So that was that like organized DR Mojave Trail.
That was the organized DR one. Yeah.
So there was a decent group of us. There was like 15, 16 trucks. I feel like maybe not that many, but it felt like that many. And that. So what? We spent the whole next morning
working on
right?
it.
Working
I went to Napa and I was like, "What do you have for an '84 Ford Bronco?"
Yeah,
let's just throw parts
No, I bought
at it.
everything that they had because I didn't know what was wrong with it.
We did spark plugs, wires. We did like filters, changed fluids.
It ended up being, from what I can think of, it ended up being just a piece of debris in the carburetor. And it eventually cleaned itself out enough to run well enough that it kind of fixed itself. It self-healed.
Oh,
and I think that, if I remember correctly, was the same trip that we stopped at the windmill and took the photo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, so you have
That's where we discovered the Mid Hills Campground.
Yeah.
Because we couldn't leave camp at noon.
Yeah, we couldn't
We
make
had
it
to
as
find
far.
a different campsite.
Yeah.
On the fly, and
But it's like this, like you were saying earlier about like, okay, you obviously you have your like planned landmarks, so like this is where camp's going to be. You have to be kind of malleable to be able to
things change
it up. But I look at that adversity of like most people would have said, fuck it, I'm turning around, get this thing on a tow truck. I don't want to deal with it. But there was like the no quit, like we're still going to send it, which, could have gone either way. Like you could have just had that much further tow home. But so it's like that adversity, and then I think about we'll have a photo of the photo, but it's like you guys jumping that little roller with the windmill in the back. That's like honestly one of my favorite photos I've ever taken.
Never would have happened if we would have turned around and went back home.
That's canvas material, right? You have that on a canvas.
So quick sidebar. Like I was cleaning out the garage earlier this week, and I had forgotten I had that like 12 by 24 printed photo.
Oh hell yeah, of that
hanging in my garage.
Dude.
And that same, literally, I was like, dude, I need to dust this off, and I literally took it to my office and hung it above my computer in my office because I was like, I need some place to zone out to.
Yeah,
because that is like picturesque.
Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't pick the Bronco with all the water pump issues that we had when you rode in the back. Flaunt and I, it was
you guys went to Jawbone.
three. We went to Jawbone to Dove and back, and these poor guys. I don't think the truck. No, the truck had a roll cage, but it didn't have the roll cage in the back of the truck yet. It was just for the two front, seats, and we're like sending it through the hills from Dove back into Jawbone.
Dude, that was one of the scariest rides in my life. And your Bronco, and this was like way before it was as dialed as it is now. The thing is like literally a lazy boy.
Oh yeah,
like, you're just karate chopping whoops, and I'm just like,
but hang on. Again, though, he didn't know this. We went there like a year or two prior to that, and did that run like 50 times in my race truck before I got rid of the race truck.
So you knew it.
So I knew exactly where we were going, where all the turns and bumps were, and these poor guys, because I didn't tell them that, they're probably shitting.
No, I 100% was. But so we do the whole run, and we're in Mojave. And so I don't remember how we ended up in Mojave from
Jawbone.
From Jawbone.
Yeah.
Probably just.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, so we see this. We're
at a gas station.
We're at like Arco or something, and this dude pulls up. And he's like a young kid that's got a Bronco, and he walks up to Mike. He's like, "Is that an '88?" And he's just talking him up, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna get that King Baja suspension." And we're just like, "Cool, dude." Like we were cool to him, but
yeah.
So we get in the truck, and we're like laughing about it on the way, and so we were on the 14.
Haven't broke down yet.
We're on the 14, and the trans temp's just at like 900.
No, it was the water.
The water.
Yeah.
Oh my God. But it was climbing, and Flaunt and I were joking about it, and we were joking about when you're like cruising on the highway, and your wife or girlfriend's just talking, and you're like watching the gauges, and you're like, and they're telling you about something happening at work, and we're joking about this.
Oh, totally.
And so the water temp's like pegged, and he pulls over. And who pulls up behind us?
Our Bronco buddy.
And I have a photo, again, I'll post it, of Mikey like in the engine bay on the side of the 14. But the Bronco dude that we were making fun of stopped because he was one of your Ford brethren.
He knew.
He was a beauty.
Like, oh, you're having a problem on the side of the road? I've been there before.
Good time.
But it took probably 10 gallons of water that we kept filling up that jug, and we eventually got home.
I was thinking actually on the Grand Canyon, everyone, like once we got back on the highway from, I think it was Barstow, everybody kind of dipped out, but I hung with you, and we had to stop like twice, I think, for water for that thing, because it was just...
Yeah, I had many water pump issues with that truck. I don't know what it was. It was me buying crappy parts from Napa.
Just
like
LS swap the world.
That's kind of what it ended up.
Moral of the story: the best trail fixes all involve the Bronco.
Yeah, for sure. Oh yeah.
No, but there's been a lot though. Like we've had, nothing really bad.
There's always been something we've been able to.
Steve lost a wheel in Pismo.
Oh, that's true.
I would say like
Steve's had some pretty miraculous breaks.
That's true. Yeah.
but the Pismo I mean that's like a totally different
for sure.
item than these point to point trips. But that was still with like the core group. I mean, how about
I feel like it's never been anything crazy where we haven't been able to like come up with a solution, right, to keep going. We've always been like everyone was always fairly good with like knowing their issues, and prepping for it properly.
Except for when I sheared the whole rear passenger tire wheel off of the Bronco.
That was like a random
Jesse
trip,
no
right?
but we were it was for King of the Hammers, and then we were going to do a point-to-point trip to like bars. I don't know where we were trying to go, but I didn't make it. I actually had to get towed home on that one.
But so it's just interesting. So it's like, okay, so we for like a decade, or let's say like maybe 6-8 years, we're doing all these trips, and then slowly our buddies everybody kind of starts to get married. Now everybody's had kids, and it's like we're obviously all still going out to the desert, but sometimes it's like some people can't make it, or it's become very much more like base camp oriented.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
And I think
more about family now.
Yeah, and I just think that it's just kind of a natural progression of having the younger kids. Like you can't lay down 120 miles in a day with a young kid. That's just not
kid in the back.
I mean, I guess you could. It's just not really enjoyable for the kid or for you. But I mean,
we'll get there. We'll get there one day.
For sure.
Yeah.
But like certain like Jesse has done a bunch of trips. Like we kind of like tailed off, and then Jesse kind of kept it going.
Oh yeah.
And then Mai Tai has been going out with like Rouse. And I mean, that's not like our DMC people, but it's like the same idea with, taking these trucks, and instead of just smashing whoops, it's like, let's do that, but let's go scope out cool shit.
Oh, for sure. And some of us, it just comes with, again, progression. It's like Mai Tai had kids a lot younger than, say, Scott and Elliot, and they had kids younger than me. Mm-hmm. So it'll all come back around again, like Scott was saying.
Sure. But I think like the whole thing with it all is like we formulated this group off of the form, and we just were all like-minded, and it was like, hey, let's go do these trips with our well-prepped trucks, and the same mindset of like, hey, this is going to be a long day. Like, this is going to
be problems.
It's going to suck a little bit at some point, and we're going to make it through. And we basically made memories that have lasted a lifetime, which is pretty rad. But it's like, so, what's next with the whole thing? Like all of us are, not all of us, some of us haven't gotten a rock crawler yet, but it's like, are we segueing into like the going slower with the age? Like you're just not desiring to push the limits as far, or?
Well, I just had, I just crashed the Bronco Glamis in February or March or whenever it was that we were there. And it's like, I wouldn't say that was anything that was intentional. Obviously, it was a complete freak accident. I had my parents in the back. It definitely wasn't trying to do anything crazy, but that's kind of stuff does happen. It's kind of par for the course when you're driving fast on places you don't really know, and you try to read the terrain the best that you can, but sometimes things just come out of nowhere. But so that for me was like, that wasn't fun. I fixed the truck. It's fine. It's great. It's ready to go on another trip. But it's like, I think about, what if my kid was in the car? He's 2.5 years old. That wouldn't have been great. Mm-hmm. Or you got another kid on the way. So I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, what if I had another off-road vehicle that I can go with everybody, where we all fit in a little bit better, and it's more geared towards doing something a little bit different, maybe going a little bit slower, or whatever. I'm more just thinking it's less wild. And right now, with my life the way that it is, I don't know if you guys agree, less wild sounds perfectly fine.
Sure. And I think like the Prerunner, like while it can go fast, and especially if you've got a big horsepower motor, like in my mind, having the 22 RE with 13 inches of travel in the front, it's more of like, I want to go at a decent pace. And then if I didn't see that dip that was, would be catastrophic to a Tundra or a Tacoma or, a relatively stock vehicle, like you could just go right through it and it's fine. But, for me, it's with the mouse, it's like, it's got 2 seats.
Yeah.
I've got a family. Like, it's fun to take it out to like a base camp style trip and cruise around with the kids. Like, I can't cruise out for a long period of time. And so I think it's just kind of a different, style of trip where it's like, you can't beat getting out with the boys and like all the bachelor trips that we've done.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Can't wait for more of those.
Maybe we need to make some more friends. So
there's still a couple people who aren't married.
Some stragglers, some stragglers. But yeah, I mean, that's a whole other thing that we didn't even talk about. All the bachelor trips that we've done. Where
that was a whole nother progression of the DMC, right?
We do my bachelor party, Mojave Road in suits. And you had one suit and you couldn't take it off. And then this guy, we all look like we worked at Trader Joe's with our Hawaiian shirts.
Oh, yeah.
And then this guy, fitting. We do
tracksuits.
The tracksuits.
Yeah, that was good.
And so, but I think the moral of the story here is it's like if you can find the like-minded people and obviously like we have this platform where there's people that you can meet that are into the similar type of vehicles and, seeing cool shit. If you see something that's like, hey, I want to go try to check this out, like map it out, like get a group of people together.
Get your buddies.
Go for it. And go. And it's like, you don't need all this, like, you don't need a crazy Prerunner or, 5.0 shocks or whatever. You can go out, obviously you want to make sure you've got enough food and water, a good set of tires, some recovery gear, and go have fun. There's so much cool shit.
Yeah, just be open to whatever happens. Don't get upset if you don't make it to your destination the day that you want to, or you miss that point of interest. It's all good.
Yeah, and I mean, I think like just setting those like, okay, you go out and I mean, even if you're like you're going out camping to Cal City, it's like look around the area and see what's there, and it's like this. Where we're at, there's like, I think about like people across the country that maybe even are listening to this. It's like in Texas, I've never been there off road wise, but from what I hear, it's like it's a lot of like private land.
It's
like,
all private.
Can't go, spots on the East Coast. It's not like you can just go off road wherever you want. Like here in the Southwest, basically we have from here to you've got California, you've got Arizona, you've got Nevada, Idaho. Oregon, you've got all
tens of thousands of square acres.
You could take a trip every weekend for the next 10 years
see everything.
Exactly. Yeah. And so I think that with the platform that we've got, it's like go see what the limits are, and even if it's like, hey, we're in Cal City and we're gonna go check out. We're going to go to Randsburg, or we're going to go to Burro Schmidt Tunnel. Like, there's so many
just
rad
that
opportunities.
little adventure.
Yeah.
Because then you could do the talc mine that's right there. There's all kinds of, you could go to the cabin on the other side of the highway. There's lots of stuff. You just got to look for it. Yeah. Look up the areas. There's websites for everything, especially now. There's websites for everything. Look stuff up. Find points of interest. Write them down. Find the coordinates. Go. And if you don't have any buddies that do it with you that you know of, join Badlines Good Times Forum. Create something on there. Post up your truck. Do whatever you got to do. Make friends. Mm-hmm. It's not that hard.
Yeah, and even like, hey, I'm going to an area, like what do you recommend? Like,
exactly.
Like if you ask that question on Instagram or Facebook, you might get crickets. But if you ask that question on the forum where it's one of us knows where you're going, we're gonna tell you like, hey, check these are the places, and it's like we can send you if we've been there. Like
we're gonna share you the information. We're gonna give you the GPX track. Okay,
yeah. But anyway, so this what next week? I started out talking about. We've got the Rubicon trip coming up, so that should be pretty cool. Never done it. You've been on a little bit of it.
I've been like on the just around Loon Lake, like in the very beginning of it.
Super cool. Yeah. But yeah, so we're tomorrow we're gonna be working on the Prerunner, and I wanted to do a quick shout out to the Yoda Masters dudes. So. I've ordered a couple of seals from them and some snap rings, and I tore the Prerunner axle apart because it was 3-wheel drive after I took it out on Easter to the hammers, and so I thought that the axle had just pulled out of the Burfield, and talking with Dylan, he's on the forum. I can't remember his name, but anyways, I sent him a photo of it, and he's like, "Oh yeah, dude, don't worry about that burr field. It's completely fucked." I think that was a direct quote. But so he basically, I got the splines to line back up, and I thought it was going to be good, but he told me that the cage most likely cracked on the burr field, and so the long field axles that I had in it, actually I didn't know this, but they had a lifetime warranty, and Yoda Masters hooked me up and sent me out a freshie. So tomorrow we're going to slap it in and get it all ready to roll, and hopefully have some fun this weekend or next weekend.
Yeah, next weekend. Yeah, no, it should be good. We got 3 days. We're going to try and get up to Spider Lake, I think. What Caleb said, and we got a few trucks going now. It sounds like, which is going to be cool. And hopefully we can share our story.
Yeah, exactly. And then hopefully next
another one for the books.
Next go around, this guy will be doing. But I think like what's going to end up happening with our DMC group, from the sounds of it or looks of it, like Mai Tai's got the crawler going, and you've got yours. This guy's on Facebook trying to figure it out
constantly. Yeah,
and so it should be interesting. So. Stay tuned, and I guess we'll catch you on the next one. Anything else?
No.
Good?
I think you covered it.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Have a good one.